manufacturing industry has been on a decades-long journey of discovery, of innovation, and of possibility. And today, the way we as manufacturers create value is being fundamentally transformed. This transformation is being shaped by forces that redefine what a product is. Technology has allowed us to create digital images of our products, replacing physical prototypes and simulating designs virtually, radically reducing the cost of production and time to market. Responding to the business potential of a global marketplace, we've developed unique things for individual markets and found ways to bring together the finest components from around the world. In the process, we've had to operate within an increasingly complex web of regulations and requirements. Complexity also came in the need to fulfill customer requirements across diverse markets. Customers wanted our creations, but demanded that they be highly personalized, tailored to meet individual needs, and delivering a very specific user experience. We discovered that software could help us efficiently address these needs. With software inside our products, we could develop new functions for existing forms and interact with our products like never before. As the product evolved, we explored and adopted new business models, creating ongoing sources of value that extended long after the initial sale into ongoing operations and service. Now, unprecedented network access allows us to connect our products to the people, systems, and businesses all around them, and to each other across a global Internet of Things. Today, technology allows us to stay in touch with our products, to listen to them, to understand, and to capitalize on what our products have to tell us. Our journey is not over, but our destination is clear. Welcome to the smart, connected world.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President and CEO, Jim Heppelmann.
Good morning and welcome to Boston. For all of you who are either here for the first time or coming back, we're pleased to have you here. And of course, we're always pleased to have this event in Boston because it's our hometown and so many of us can participate more readily when it's in our hometown. So this morning I want to talk about my part of the accelerate theme, which is pedal to the metal. Now, as you know, accelerate means move faster and faster and faster. And the way that you accelerate is you put your foot on the accelerator pedal and you push it all the way down. Okay? That's pedal to the metal. And that's what I want to talk about this morning, sort of why do we want to accelerate? What's the opportunity that we're going after, and why do we have to go faster to capture this opportunity? But before I do that, I want to just take a moment and congratulate everybody on what really was a pretty great year for PTC and for our ecosystem of partners in 2014. You know, as a CEO, I have to sit in the boardroom and report our results to the board of directors. And if you look at what they measure me on, it's really growth and profitability. So I'm pleased to say that we, PTC, accomplished our growth objective. We had a license growth objective for 2004, and we accomplished that objective. And we had a profitability objective, and we accomplished that too. On the growth side, we wanted to have 7% organic license growth. Organic meaning not including acquisitions. Now, 7% is not high enough for the long run, but you may remember in 2013, the organic number was just slightly negative. So a big turnaround in organic growth. And then on the profit side, we wanted to grow our profit by 20% for the 5th year in a row. And we haven't released our results, but I can tell you pretty much we'll be right in that ballpark. Now, the third goal we have in the boardroom is the share price, because we run the company for the benefit of the owners, which are the shareholders. And as you know, we had a very good year in the share price of PTC. The share price on a normal basis should increase as the profit increases, but in the last year it increased actually much faster than the profit because the shareholders began to believe in the promising future that this company has. So that's at the corporate level, but if I come down to the channel level, I'm pleased to say that I think we had pretty good results in the channel too. Likewise, the channel rebounded with 6% license growth, and 47% of the partners represented in the room here had a positive growth year. So I think we can all do better than that, but it was a nice rebound from 13 to 14 and puts us in a good place going forward. So I want to thank you and congratulate you for doing your part, to make you successful and to make us here at PTC successful as well. Now, 2014 actually was the 5th good year in a row for PTC. 2009 wasn't a good year, but if you look at what's happened from 2009 to 2014, that's my favorite time frame because that's when I've been in charge of the company. You can see that our revenue has increased about 45%. But our earnings per share has increased 168%. And our share price has increased 192%, depending upon which day you measure it. So that's pretty impressive because 192% means it almost tripled. So we've done a great job. The company was worth $1.5 billion in 2009. It's worth about $4.5 billion here in 2014. So our shareholders have accumulated $3 billion worth of wealth because of our execution on this program. So as exciting as that is, to win those battles year after year, what we haven't done is won the war. And the reason we haven't won the war is we have not yet established a level of growth that's acceptable to us. I don't think you're happy with 6% growth. I'm not that happy with 7% growth. What we all want to do is get into double digits. That's our strategy, but we've not yet achieved it. You could say we have a growth problem, challenge perhaps. Not a disaster, because we have grown 45%. But we're growing profit so much faster than revenue, and at some point that's not sustainable. At some point, the growth in profit will begin to approximate the growth in revenue. So we want the growth in revenue to be higher. So we got to make some changes. We have to find some new things to do that are growthier, if you will. And the good news is, we think the most fabulous opportunity one could imagine has just landed in our lap. Actually, it didn't land in our lap. We went out, pursued it, hunted it down. But anyway, here it is. It's the Internet of Things. You may or may not know this, but the Internet of Things is today the most hyped technology phenomenon in information technology. That's what Gartner Group has it. Number 1 on the hype cycle. Number 2 is big data. Number 3 is, cloud, then there's social, there's mobile, there's all that stuff. But somehow, we went from CAD and PLM, which are probably, number 99 and 100, to number 1 with the Internet of Things. And you might think, where did that come from? Why is PTC suddenly playing in the Internet of Things? And actually, it's pretty simple. Because the Internet of Things isn't really about the Internet. It's about the things. The Internet really isn't changing. We've all had the Internet for 20 years now. It's a great thing. Happy to have it. We leverage the heck out of it. But the Internet's not changing. It's the things that are changing. The things are, the refrigerators, the automobiles, the airplanes, you name it. The furnace in your house, my swimming pool, my home, all that stuff. Those things are getting connected to the Internet. So, do we know anything about things? Well, absolutely. Our whole strategy is we help companies change, transform the way that they create and service products. Products are the things. Every time you hear about a thing connected to the Internet, it's a thing that came out of a factory. You might say, well, Jim, what about cows? I heard you can connect cows to the Internet. Sure, by attaching a thing to them. It can be a collar, it can be a pill that you put in their stomach, whatever. But a thing that comes out of the factory goes onto or inside the cow, and now the cow's connected to the Internet. So that brings up an interesting question, which is why would you connect things to the Internet in the first place? Why would you do it? Well, we all went out and did a great big survey with SurveyMonkey or something like that, with people who are connecting internet or connecting things to the internet. And we said, why are you doing that? The number one answer would be to service it better. That's actually why you connect the cow to the internet. The cow. If the cow's sick, you want to know, you want to intervene, you don't want the cow to die. Okay? So the number one reason you connect a thing to the internet is to service it better. The number two reason is to operate it better, including operate it remotely. Now you can't operate the cow remotely, but you can tell the pill to release some medicine if necessary, so that you're able to remotely address, let's say, an infection that the cow might have or something like that. And then the third main reason you'd connect a thing to the internet is to make it better. By make it better, I mean learn how it's used, how it works. Does it work like I thought it did? Is it used like I thought it was? Because now that I have these feedback loops, I can change the design because I understand where to go with the design, how to make it better. So Internet of Things is really all about feedback loops. It's feedback loops into engineering, feedback loops into service, feedback loops into the operation of the thing. It's exactly the business we're in. We help companies transform the way they create, operate, and service things. It's a perfect fit for PTC. And there's no company, actually, who has a better angle on Internet of Things leadership than we do here at PTC. So I think you know we've been pretty bold and pretty aggressive in the last couple years, but especially in the last year when we made some very big, important acquisitions. And that's just really evidence of what's happening at PTC, which is we are betting the farm on smart connected products. Now, betting the farm is a saying. What it really means is to place a bet, to place everything you have in a bet. And the bet must work, because if it doesn't work, you don't have anything left. And that's what we're doing. We believe in this so strongly that we're convinced we can and should and must be the leader in smart connected products, which is really what the Internet of Things is. Okay, so what are we doing to place this bet? Well, I have sort of an agenda here, which is really the agenda for my talk here this morning, which is we think we have a very compelling strategy. We didn't just wake up with a dumb idea to get into Internet of Things. We followed a series of logical steps to this point. We feel like we now have an unmatched technology suite. Nobody in the world has anything like it. We feel like we have an opportunity and are in the process of grabbing top mind share. We're going to deploy a new coverage and go-to-market model, which you're going to like a lot as you come to learn about it here. We're going to deploy a new business model, and we're going to deploy a new attitude. So with this as my agenda, let me go ahead and jump into it here. So you know our strategy. We started by helping people digitize things with CAD, and then we saw an opportunity to help companies globalize more efficiently with Windchill and an internet-based web system. And then we got into this idea of personalization with our Windchill global platform type solution, where we give customers the ability to manage many different configurations of a base product and to do that very efficiently. And we launched next into this regulation area where we help companies put in place Windchill product analytics to help with reach and rows and now conflict minerals and so forth. If I just stop here though, this is a traditional view of the world. I could say at this point, products are still all mechanical. You can model everything in 3D. And I actually would tell you this is where Dassault and Siemens have stopped. Because what I'm going to talk about from this point forward, they don't do. They haven't even tried to do. And we're many years into it. So we next noticed that products are changing. And that the engineers are changing. And the amount of software engineering is gaining rapidly on mechanical engineering, and in some cases has even passed, in many companies, passed the level of engineering effort. I think you all know if you go buy a brand new automobile, if you look at the accumulated number of engineering hours in that automobile, there are more engineering hours that went into the software in that automobile than there are into the mechanical parts made of steel and plastic and rubber and so forth. so of course we responded to this strategy of smart products with the addition of our application lifecycle management capabilities through the acquisition of the Integrity product line from the MCAS company. And next we noticed that not only are products changing, but business models are changing. This idea of servitization means that business models are migrating to become more service-oriented. Companies want to sell a product with a service, and then ultimately, maybe, sell a product as a service. But there's a huge migration in companies toward rethinking their relationship with their customer. It's not a one-and-done transactional sale and you go away, but the product sale is the beginning of a very profitable relationship that continues day after day after day with spare parts and service calls and performance-based logistics and you name it. Of course, we're now many years into this. This strategy really started back in 2005 when we acquired Architects. But in about 2009, it really sped up when we acquired a number of companies, including most recently Servigistics and the Enigma company as well. So we have a great set of momentum, or a great amount of momentum here in the SLM business. So if I stop here, I would say PTC now has a pretty unique ability to help companies build and service smart products. But what happened next is we realized that when you have a product that has a CPU in it and it has software in it, it's the natural next step to give it an IP address and connect it to the internet to get these feedback loops. And so that's really what we see happening now is connectivity, is entering the picture. And the reason you would connect a product, again, is so you can service it better, operate it better, and make it better. It's all those feedback loops into everything else we've already been doing. And so in the last year, I think we know, we bought two very hot startup companies, really the leaders in the IoT field. The first one was ThingWorx. You may or may not know, but we paid a massive price for ThingWorx because we saw that technology and said, wow. In fact, after I sat through my first sort of in-depth demonstration of ThingWorx, many of you know I have a technical background, I came walking out of that meeting and I turned to Barry Cohen, who runs our acquisition department, and I said, we have to buy that company. And he said, it's going to be expensive. And I said, we have to buy that company. So we paid $130 million for a company doing less than 5. Now that's not normally the way we do things at PTC, but we have so much religion around this opportunity that we decided to go do it. Then we found a second startup company called Exceeda, which we determined was very complementary to ThingWorx. Happens also to be based here in the Boston area. And so we paid $170 million to acquire that company as well. So today, here in 2015, by the end of 2015, we expect to have about 500 Internet of Things customers and about $50 million in Internet of Things revenue. That would make us, by far, the real leader. I mean, Cisco can talk a lot about Internet of Things, but all they're selling is routers and switches. They're selling Internet stuff, not thing stuff. So we, PTC, I think, in 2015 will emerge as the real leader. So anyway, the takeaway here, though, in our strategy is we've been, I think, smart enough to sense that value shifting from hardware to software, and that software is shifting in some ways from embedded to cloud, because I can add a feature to your car, in the car or in the cloud talking to your car. And we also saw value is shifting from product to service, and that will be accelerated by this concept of Internet of Things and connectivity. And at the end of the day, this is what CEOs are most interested in, because they're both excited and worried about what Internet of Things means. I've met more CEOs since we started talking about Internet of Things than I had met in the previous 15 years here at PTC. I asked one CEO, because he had like his 5th meeting with me, and he said, because I don't want to be the last CEO of this company. And I know things are changing, and if we don't stay ahead of it, we could get leapfrogged, and then very bad things happen. So I'm personally very interested in making sure we stay at the forefront of a big change that's happening in our industry. So I think that's a great big picture strategy. Again, what's really exciting is it's not the same thing that Siemens and Dassault are doing. Dassault is doing 3D, 3D, 3D. Their tagline is 3D experience. Now, would you call my strategy 3D experience? No, it's a different strategy. Nothing wrong with 3D, and our strategy includes 3D, but we're trying to skate to where the puck is going. If you think about hockey and Wayne Gretzky, we're trying to go to where the world is going to and be there first. Bernard Charles is bringing up the rear, still focused on what Sam Geisberg invented here in Boston, 30 years ago now, 29, 30 years ago. If you look at Siemens, they're really focused on the link between engineering and manufacturing. That's also a strategy. It appeals to some customers. But the smart part of smart connected products isn't even made in the factory. Software is not made in the factory. And as more and more of your value and your engineering and your differentiation moves in the direction of smart and connected, quite frankly, optimizing the link between engineering and manufacturing is less and less important. Also, many companies outsource their manufacturing, in which case there's no value in trying to optimize that link at all. In fact, there's value in having flexibility to outsource to anybody because you're not linked too tightly to them. So I think that what's exciting for us is that software, services, and connectivity are what stack of technology, and PTC has this whole stack of technology. Nobody else is even close. Now, I don't expect it'll be that way forever. That's why we need to move fast. So the next thing we need to do is we need people to know who we are and how special we are. So we have to develop mind share. And so we've been doing a lot of things to develop mind share that says PTC equals smart connected products. And if you look at some of the quotes here, this came from a industry analyst conference that we had, it was like a webcast a few months ago. And if you look at some of the quotes, like the Bloomberg quote, says, PTC hit it out of the park with the acquisition of ThingWorx. Really foresighted, really represents a game change on so many fronts. Or the quote from Barkai, PTC is in an excellent position to help companies realize the value of smart connected products, and I expect it will reach market leadership. Or if you jump down to the lower left from Chainlink, that was the most cogent talk on the value of Internet of Things I've heard. Because we're actually making it practical. We're going to help you build smart connected products, hook them to the Internet, service, operate, and evolve them better. When you listen to Cisco talk about the Internet of everything, even my head spins. I don't know what they're talking about. But when you listen to PTC, it starts to make a lot of sense. So I don't need to hit all these quotes, but you can see the people who have been taken through our story really get it. And they really understand that what PTC is doing makes all kinds of sense. It creates tremendous amount of value, and it's very unique and differentiated. Now, we just have unleashed the secret weapon, which is our front cover story in Harvard Business Review. So when you go through the airport on your way home, stop in the newsstand, you'll see this magazine prominently displayed because Harvard Business Review is the most prestigious business publication in the world. This is what CEOs do. CEOs and CXOs. It's published by Harvard. It really is a professional magazine. It's not like the journal of the college. No, it's a professional business magazine. And the cover story is called The Internet of Everything. And then the fine print says, smart connected products will transform your business. It's a 26-page long article, one of the longest ever published in Harvard Business Review, written by myself and Professor Michael Porter. Professor Michael Porter is a Harvard Business School professor. He's the most famous professor at Harvard, and he's one of the most famous professors in the entire world. Every CEO knows who Professor Michael Porter is. They probably don't know who Jim Heppelmann or PTC is, but this is going to be a vehicle to capture their attention, help them understand how powerful this change is going to be in their world, and it's really a call to action that says, you need to do something here. Because, you know, this is, the world's changing fast, and it's an opportunity and it's a threat. What are you going to do about it? So this just came out in the English version about a week and a half ago. It will be published by Harvard Business Review in 11 languages. They ship about 200,000 copies of the magazine, and then they have millions more people read it online. So this will be a great way to get our story out there. Now, this is not a story about PTC, but it does, for example, talk about the architecture of a smart connected product. It talks about the change this will mean for your business and so forth. Let me go ahead and kind of explain the gist of the story, if you will. So this, again, is a combination of some of Michael Porter's thinkings and some of Jim Heppelmann's thinkings. And what the story basically is that twice before, information technology has rocked the world of companies. So if you go back to the 1960s, 70s, 80s, maybe early 80s, the first time people began buying big mainframes with green screen terminals and so forth, that's when the term IT came into play. That's when the term CIO, Chief Information Officer, came into play, because people realized, wow, I can take my value chain processes and automate them with software and computers. It was a big breakthrough because then those processes ran so much more efficient. By the way, the term value chain was invented by Michael Porter. I sometimes joke if every time people use the term value chain, they had to pay 1 penny to Michael Porter, he would be one of the richest men in the world. Because it's that commonplace now, which shows you how famous he is. You should all Google Michael Porter.